All right. Welcome, everyone, to a very special edition of TechRise. For those of you I don't know, I am Desiree Vargas Wrigley. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer and Executive Director of TechRise by P33. And today we are honoring a few of our amazing TechRise founders who have been on this stage before, so this is not their first time. And we're doing something a little bit different, where you all are going to decide who takes home the $25,000 prize provided today by Verizon. So our judges up here, woohoo! Our judges are here to ask great questions, so hopefully you can make an expert decision. And for those of you just learning about TechRise for the first time, TechRise is an initiative started in partnership with Verizon to support BIPOC and women founders from idea stage all the way to exit. So each week between April and October, we invite 3 to 5 founders onto the stage. It's a virtual stage usually, and they pitch in front of the judges, and the judges ask a few questions, and then they choose who takes home the $25,000 prize. To date, we're on season 3, so we've had 265 BIPOC and women founders take the stage. 80 of them have received some sort of funding through TechRise. We've deployed a little over $2 million, and those founders have gone on to raise over $67 million in follow-on funding. Very exciting. We're very proud of them. But to put some context around that, in 2019, our BIPOC founders in Chicago only raised about $9 million total. So we are accelerating the flow of capital to our BIPOC and women founders through this work and through partnership with great venture firms and great sponsors like Verizon. All right, with that, I'm going to welcome our judges who are already on stage and just going to make a little wave. All right, first we have Jason Heltzer. Jason joined Origin in 2014 and is currently managing partner of the Chicago branch. Before joining Origin, Jason was a general partner at OCA, where his previous investments included Cartavi, Base, Brightnest, acquired by Angie's List, and Trade King. He started his career in software engineering and was an architect for Deloitte Consulting. He also led engineering and business teams at First Up, a San Francisco-based startup. Thank you. And then we have another Jason. Jason Mercer is here. He's part of Cleveland Avenue's finance team and principal over at the Castus Fund. He focuses on financial diligence for investment opportunities and has over 10 years of experience in strategy, finance, and mergers and acquisitions related to multinational organizations in the food and beverage sector. Most recently, he was the business manager for consumer for Fonterra USA, where he was responsible for growing volume, profitability, and brand awareness. Last but not least, we have Sonia Nagar. She is a venture capitalist, angel investor, and board director. She's GP, general partner at Pritzker Group Venture Capital, and responsible for sourcing, diligence, and oversight of the firm's investments in marketplaces, consumer products and services, and retail enabling technologies. Before joining Pritzker Group, she was vice president of product and head of mobile apps for Retail Me Not. And before that, they acquired her first company, which was back in 2011. So welcome back to the stage, all of you, and in person, and thank you so much for being here. Okay. And with that, we are going to get started. Our first competitor is going to pitch for a few minutes, followed by a few minutes of Q&A. And we have Andre Johnson from LiveEquipd.
Yes, I was looking. Okay. Should be good. Let's see if it's working. Hello. Mobility, independence, and recovery is what someone seeks when they face a healthcare crisis. Fortunately, that pathway is not always easy. I learned this after surviving a traumatic spinal cord injury as a victim of gun violence here in Chicago. I was shot in a carjacking in which my best friend passed. We start here with LiveEquipd. We're looking to change the outcomes for individuals that deal with these circumstances. Hi, my name is Andre Johnson, founder of LiveEquipd, and where we strive to rectify the insufficient processes and administrative burdens that healthcare organizations face. Over 61 million people in the US have a disability, with 15% of them facing mobility challenges. 30% of those individuals are rehospitalized due to issues with equipment. 33% of the therapists that care for them deal with extra excessive burden with documentation. And 60% of those individuals deal with some mental health struggle with the correlation between injury and chronic pain. There's also a big burden on the staff that takes care of these individuals. 68% of therapists talk about the workload being a burden in their daily routine. These processes are very flawed. Existing solutions don't follow the care path in post-acute care, making sure that access to equipment and therefore making sure your care journey is proper. And also I mentioned the issues with mental health. The data and analytics are not tracking how that outcome is faced for individuals once they get home trying to handle those daily tasks. But there's a better way. Thanks. LiveEquipd streamlines that process with administrative tools and creating a technical platform that really promotes well-being for the staff as well as for the patients. How we do that? So first we provide an all-inclusive platform in which individuals put coordination and procurement in one, instead of separating them into EMRs, EHRs, and other systems. Really streamline the day-to-day routine for better patient outcomes. Number two, we curate suppliers all in one. Instead of dealing with faxes, phone calls, et cetera, we put that all into a supplier database that curates according to insurance and other providers. That way, cutting at least about 20 to 25% of that daily work off. Lastly, we track with data and analytics. So what we do is we track in post-acute care, not just that 2 weeks after care, but we look to go past that in 12 months, understanding the correlation of the equipment to the pain, to the staff, and that way we provide all that detail at one to better outcomes for the patients. Now, it's an emerging market when you're dealing with chronic diseases and aging population. We're focused on the billions spent in the post-acute rehabilitation care. So for example, spinal cord injury, MS, stroke, cerebral palsy, and other causes are all also related to the aging population. So that's our demographic to start where we can make the most impact. We've been making progress. Our journey started with the social enterprise funding from Uber through their wheelchair division. We were able to collaborate with the AMA. We received a grant from Westside United here in Chicago, who's supported by 4 local hospitals. And we were able to get a letter of intent from the Shirley Ryan Ability Lab here locally, who does such great work in rehab care. And we just completed Mass Challenge in IBM's AI and security cohort. The competition, they lack the comprehensive innovation in this space, therefore putting all the pieces together for better outcomes, number one for patients, but also for staff and organizations and facilities that have to manage this on a day-to-day, and during this pandemic are usually short-staffed. Our model, very simple, B2B SaaS model, $350 a year for the staff, and then the supplier partners will be our ancillary part of our income. We're raising our $600K pre-seed round right now to build on the relationships that we already established in the healthcare industry and to move forward with the technical and build out our MVP. We're seeking angel funding, pre-seed, and partnerships right now so we can move forward and go ahead and make an impact.
And we'll let you cover the team as you do your Q&A, if that's okay.
Yes.
All right,
Great pitch. Talk to us a little bit about the LOI that you just secured. What does that consist of?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Yes, so for the main hospital, which is located downtown, I've been able to collaborate with their therapy managers and executive directors, one, to understand their needs. For example, they did a study with Northwestern University of talking about the administrative burden and time that it took for one completion of a process. So about 70 minutes for documentation, another 60 to get the whole process over to the supplier. So when I came in and we did discovery, it was like, okay, well, we can utilize this not only in the main hospital, but our affiliates. So right now what they're looking for is having the product built so they can start testing. So that's just the one hurdle we're trying to complete right now to move forward with that.
Andre, nice to meet you in person.
Same.
I'm just curious about selling to healthcare organizations. Tell us about how you're going to do that.
Yes, so 2 things. I lean on my professional experience, so I work in health tech. I work for a company Kaizen Health, and so we're in that space and understanding the lead time that it takes. So I've been able to kind of get my footing in that, and so right now we've already created a pipeline in the rehab space in Chicago. So for example, Schwab, Mount Sinai, and also we're moving into a program with the VA right now. So we understand the lead time, but we think you can do it. So.
How you doing again? Nice to meet you.
Same.
I'm going to kind of come off of that question. Are you selling at what level in the organization? Is it directly to a physician or to a procurement office within that healthcare? And then when you talk about that pricing, can you just explain that a little bit more?
Yes. So we're kind of three-phased approach in how we're going. First is the physical medicine rehabilitation care. So that's therapy managers, PT, OT, in that department first, and then we're looking at the next level as far as the system. So, for example, UI Health, they reached out to us in that stage, and then the last is insurance providers, Medicare, Medicare Advantage, those, and be able to tap in and really show value of the data sets, and so fixing things on the front end so it's less issues on the back end.
Talk to us a little bit about your team, since we didn't get to cover that in the pitch.
I know. So, yes. So, team, I'm supported by one of my former therapists who's a professor at Rush, my boss and advisor, Mindy Knable over at Kaizen Health, JC Garrett, who's in the tech space, and then a bunch of more mentors. I didn't put all the faces on there, but a bunch of mentors in the healthcare space overall, over 60 years of experience and understanding procurement, healthcare organizations, tech all together. So, yes, so we're just looking to make an impact, especially this month being Disability Awareness Month, Disability Pride Month, so really start to make an impact. So.
Great. Thank you so much, Andre.
Thanks.
All right, and next we are going to welcome to the stage Perteet with IO Foods.
Thank you. How's everyone doing? Good. Well, I'm Perteet Spencer. Really thrilled to be here with you this afternoon. Before I dig into the story behind IO, I actually want to just introduce a couple of facts that are very central to how we're ending up on this stage today. So if you look at the broad food landscape, about 90% of the calories we consume come from about 15 crops. That's right, 1-5. And about 10% of global greenhouse gases are actually coming from global food waste. So if you put these two pieces together, you find there's thousands of crops we're not tapping into at all. And not only are we not tapping into them, we're actually wasting really nutrient-dense food. So I'd love to see a show of hands. If I could help you solve this problem, if we could solve it together by eating really delicious, nutrient-dense food that you could have in under 5 minutes, who would be down for that? Not everyone's raising their hand, which surprises me, but well, I'm here to save the day, introducing IO, a line of West African-inspired frozen meals, sauces, and soon-to-launch frozen apps, all centered around addressing some of our biggest challenges in the food system overall and bringing really nutrient-dense West African flavors to the broad landscape. IO is inspired by family. So my family's from Liberia. It directly translates to joy. And we exist to celebrate the incredible ingredients and flavors of the West African diaspora, delivering joy through flavor, to diversify our palates and create a whole new growth platform in grocery. We're uniquely positioned in a few different areas that are really shaping the future of food, above and beyond the unique flavors that we're bringing to the market. About a third of our line is plant-based, and when I say plant-based, I mean whole beans, seeds, nuts, things that you can pronounce. And then we tap into upcycled ingredients really as a hero of our food. So we're using things like red millet leaves and agouti seeds, all which are soil-enriching, CO2-reducing ingredients. Now, 3 years ago, we're going to hit our third birthday, actually on Saturday. Some folks may have said, hey, is this a niche? Thank you. A niche idea. And we will tell you no, it's not at all. So in pretty short time, we've hit over 5,000 retail doors. We're launching at Walmart later this month and really brought in a large swath of retailer types nationwide, all behind West African flavors. And this growth is really fueled by the buying power of tomorrow. So if you look at our consumers, they're young, they're diverse, and we're bringing something really unique and different to this landscape. Above and beyond the work that we're doing to transform the aisles of grocery, we're also working hard to transform lives. Here's a couple of views of our IO West African farm in Monrovia, Liberia, where my dad is from. Early in our journey, we invested in about 15 acres of farmland, which has since been translated to working home, providing economic growth. And I think it just helps you visualize the power that a platform that IO can have in terms of getting us to eat differently to ultimately change lives. We've got a big vision, but we've got the right team in place to scale with an incredible founding team and chef partners and a solid group of investors and advisors. But we need your help today. Our ask today is to help us accelerate our first bite by supporting our street team expansion. So we've seen lifts of 12 to 18x when people try our food. They love it, they get hooked. We need you all to bring in 1 to 2 street team advisors, which will have a 4x return with your investment. So hope you all vote for IO. There's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I invite you to join us today. Thank you.
So, great pitch. Always great to see you, Perteet. As you think about growth and the amount of store growth that you have, how do you think about balancing that out with like product mix? So you got the frozen products, the other ones. How do you think about that as you go into more stores?
Yeah, so one of the things you've seen is we've had a pretty broad line. I think as a first to market proposition, it took us a little bit to tweak store to product mix. But we've gotten it down to a science now. And so we really look at the demographics of the geographies we're in, the unique needs of the store customers, and we're able to curate a mix of products for the specific retailers. So a good example is the 3 items we first launched with: cassava leaf, a goosey seed soup, and jollof rice do incredibly well in our more established ethnic markets, where items like our puff puff and chicken yassa do really, really well with the mainstream consumer as we introduce a whole new flavor palette to shoppers everywhere.
I'm really excited to try this food. You got me sold, so good job on that. Tell us about the economics. Like, what are the gross margins of the product?
Yep, so gross margins are about 30% and growing. We were launching a mix of mini pies, which will come out this next month. Those hover closer to 55% and are getting broad acceptance, and so it'll bring total line margins closer to 45%.
And then I'm curious, what is your hero product? Like, what is, if you have a street team that's going to go out and start sampling, what is the one product that you think will perform the best and that you want to be known for?
Yeah, so there's 2, again, depending on the store that we're in. So our chicken yassa, which is curated by top chef Eric Ajapong, does incredibly well with kind of our more mainstream consumer. We call those folks the cultural explorers. Really bold flavors, chicken thighs, lemon Dijon, and we're doing all of that slow cooked cooking process in-house. The second, which is our own kind of house SKU that's quickly risen in the ranks, is our jollof rice with chicken. And so that's a stewed chicken with kind of the quintessential jollof.
We're in Chicago. Can they get this product?
Good question, Jason. Locally, we're at Mariano's, the Fresh Market, Mariano's Target, the Fresh Market, but that is in the burbs. And then our hot sauces are soon to be at Fresh Time.
Any final thoughts?
Yeah, where do you think what happens with the exit? Who do you think you sell this company to?
Well, if you look at the broad market, I think West African flavors is such a massive gap in global, and we're uniquely positioned to really lead in that space. All of the bigger CPG are interested in the global flavor landscape. Part of the impetus, I didn't talk about this as much, but my background I spent about 10 plus years at General Mills on the brand side. And if you look at kind of where that market is going, the entire landscape is evolving to a much more global palette. And so we fill a unique gap for some of those companies, not only in the flavors we serve, but our cook process as well.
I have to be fair. I'm sorry. Great job, Perteet. Wonderful job. Thank you so much. Oh, may I have that? Perfect. And next, I'm thrilled to welcome Christine Griffith from Black Brown Market. Hi.
I want you to meet my friend Suzanne. She was in corporate for over 20 years, and one day she decided to bet on herself. Like many people in the pandemic, she found her passion. Her business started to grow, and she wanted to look for space. She ventured off from location to location, trying to find that right fit. Where do I fit in? Finding a space she felt, she wanted to feel seen, she wanted resources, and she wanted to feel like she was part of a community. She felt like that was almost impossible. Can you imagine that frustration? Suzanne isn't alone. In fact, 1.2 million people of color launched businesses last year. Some of them were my friends, and they shared similar frustrations. That's because only 2% of the co-working industry caters to people of color that are Black and brown and professional. In just 3 short years, the landscape of how we work has changed. We had 6.2 million people lose their jobs, and we had a group of corporations trying to figure out what to do with this new remote-first culture. Out of nearly 7,000 spaces in the United States, only 60 cater to people of color who are professional. My name's Christine, and I'm the founder of Black Brown Market. Our mission is to reimagine co-working through retail. Black Brown Market offers meaningful connections for our members with tools to prepare them for the retail market. We foster both innovation and we support entrepreneurs in all segments. Because what I feel is this helps rebuild communities. And I think that's pretty exciting stuff. Our memberships are based on subscription, but we offer both a digital and in-person experience. Our co-retail membership allows for emerging designers to eliminate barriers and the cost of brick and mortar. In addition, we've built a digital network that has dynamic masterclass-like content and allows for education at any reach. Our space includes key areas like a media lounge for influencer content, as well as podcasting. We offer a rotating dining experience and traditional amenities like dedicated office, meeting rooms, call booths, and virtual office space. In 2022, Black Brown Market generated $50,000 in revenue, and we facilitated business opportunities for 50 of our retail members to make around $30,000 in revenue. Our reach is growing month over month, and we're seeing a 15% increase week over week in our digital growth. Right now, we are in discussions for our first location, and we're excited about the future of Black Brown Market's brick and mortar first space. Unlike traditional co-working, our primary source of revenue comes from subscription, transactional, and services. But we're taking the show fields approach. Our primary generation of revenue comes from sponsorships, events, and advertising. One location can generate over $800,000 annually, and that's a lot that's being left on the table today. Our team has over 20 plus years of sales experience, marketing, publishing, architecture, and design. Our advisors specialize in co-working, finance, as well as real estate. These are ingredients to create an incredible team and an amazing project. The story I told you in the beginning about Suzanne was actually about me. I was inspired in 2017 by something Issa Rae said, and it stuck with me. In that interview, she said you need to be intentional about prioritizing culture and collaboration. By investing in Black Brown Market, you're prioritizing the future of Black and brown professionals, how we work, and how we spend. The funds provided today will allow us to invest in our digital product, the content we create, and accelerate our onboarding for our growing audience. Winning capital allows us to not only hit our revenue goal of $100,000, but it'll also help launch for pre-seed in the next 6 months. This is me reaching out to TechRise. Thank you for your time.
Nice presentation. Can you tell us how many locations Chicago can support and how many can the whole country support?
Our goal is to have 7 locations in the United States in the next 10 years. I think that right now our focus is having something on the west side. That's an area that we feel is ripe for the picking, especially considering the level of entrepreneurship and the young people that live in that area, and it's so underdeveloped. But we'd love to be able to be in multiple places. So, you know, the sooner the money comes in, the faster we can roll it out.
Yes.
Have you done analysis on how much it'll cost to launch a first physical location?
Yeah, so our projections are based on all the things that are necessary to get a project off the ground. And right now, the way that we structured it is we believe that buying real estate in distressed communities offers way more value than to rent and lease, where a lot of other co-working spaces are losing money. So our initial investment is around $1 million.
Is there any opportunity to, and I think maybe it's what you're doing now, to utilize current spaces? So as you're working towards getting your own space, but to use current spaces that are either less utilized, you know, certain spots within different buildings or things of that nature?
Yeah, it's a great question. And actually, we are in conversation with a opportunity in the West Loop for a co-branded experience. I think proof of concept is actually ideal for what we want to do. So there's definitely room for us to explore what a co-branded partnership for an existing space that is not maybe trending so well could look like for sure.
How will you find the future tenants of the space?
It's fun. We have a wait list right now. So I think that, you know, the way our go-to-market strategy looks like is we're building this online content, which we feel like will increase demand around, you know, whatever it is that you're trying to explore as a career or a passion. And we're hoping that that entail will bring you to us as a resource, whether you're joining our digital community or whether you're joining our physical community. And it starts from there. And our digital community allows us to figure out where we're going next.
Time for one more.
Great. As you think about building content and attracting new members in, what are some of the ideas you have for what that content will look like?
So we launched this fall disruptive dinners. And disruptive dinners, I feel like the best conversations happen around the dinner table. It allows us to bring in entrepreneurs who already have experience, but it's lived experience, and these are people who are right here next to us as opposed to a celebrity or somebody who's a little bit unreachable. They're going to talk to you about what they've gone through, the good, the bad, the ugly, the things that worked, the things that didn't. And that's real live content that you can engage with, and we're going to distribute that through our channels, and, you know, hopefully we'll create more content similar. And there'll be a lot of series of dinners that have different conversations for different entrepreneurs.
Wonderful job. Thank you so much, Christine. And next, we're going to welcome Ricky Regalado with Routes.
How you guys doing? Thank you, Nico. All right, guys. My name is Ricky Regalado. I am the CEO and co-founder of Route. That is a platform of business management tools for the $80 billion commercial cleaning industry. We're here talking about cleaning, right? So why cleaning? Well, that picture you guys see in the corner, that was me buried in receipts, buried in paperwork. Just started a cleaning company 8 years ago with my wife, with some of my family that's in the audience here. And I had issues. I was not born an entrepreneur, so I had to learn it, right? So what we ran into was that plateau that all small business owners run into, which is what? I was busy working in the business, not on the business, right? Everybody knows that. Well, in comes Route, the idea of technology, the idea of creating a platform that acts as a guide to my team, can now get the knowledge base that's in my head. Because that's the issue is, as business owners, we have everything up here. We can't share it to the team. As we started to utilize Route to scale our cleaning company, we started to grow it to 300 employees in over 20 different states, and it's still growing. It's the top 3 fastest growing cleaning company in America. How? By the use of technology and use of Route. So we said, hey, maybe the rest of the industry can use this thing, right? So let's talk about this unsexy industry, this not so big industry. As my boy Richard Montanez would say, it's a big ass industry, right? And 1.2 million cleaning companies are in the industry. 52,000 cleaning companies on average are being launched in America. But here's a problem. 50% of those companies fail year one. Another problem, 93% of those companies, they can't even break 1 million in revenue. That's a problem. That equals what? Fragmentation, right? So with Route, we are giving these cleaning business owners the tools that they need to grow a business, right? We're helping them find and win contracts. We're helping them understand numbers and estimating and create proposals, right? And then last but not least, we're helping them scale their operations efficiently, right? So there's a problem. There's always a but, right? But the top 3 reasons that cleaning business owners fail, number 1, sales. We all know that. Without sales, you can't grow a business. So these cleaning business owners have a lack of knowledge with RFP. They don't have a seat at the table. They don't understand what it is to grow their business, right? They don't have a sales team, right? They're doing it all themselves. So with Route, we're giving them the opportunity to connect with cleaning business enterprises that have what? A seat at the table, access to contracts, and they have a sales force. But guess who they're looking for? Local vetted subcontractors in the local areas. Number 2, numbers. I don't see my brother in the audience. He was supposed to be here. I'm gonna whip his ass. He's our CFO at our cleaning company, right? So let me tell you, I am not a numbers guy. I'm a business entrepreneur. I'm a sales guy. I don't know my numbers from a financial perspective. So with Route, we gave them a dashboard and the analytics to understand how to price their proposals and how to be profitable when they're pricing. Next, how to build your team. That comes next, right? You're winning sales, you're understanding how to bid. Next comes build your team, manage your quality and expectations. Well, we gave them a dashboard and a pulse of their business within Route. They understand their team management, they understand how to order supplies, they understand how it is to scale their company. So, how does Route make money? We've got 2 types of way to make revenue. One is transaction fee on every contract that is won in our platform. Second, it's B2B SaaS tools. As they grow, we grow. That's our motto. We want to give these people the opportunity to buy affordable software. So we didn't reinvent the wheel here. A lot of the solutions that we have, they're in the market right now. But what we did is we unified them. We've created the first ecosystem in our industry to help these owners with a community effect. Let's talk about the community. We got 400 customers in 4 different countries using the product today. We're in the market. We just keep evolving and building. Next, we got 35,000 cleaning companies in all of our social channels, right? Our small business owner finds us in the social media platforms. Next, we've got 2 million organic impressions on our YouTube channel. And last but not least, we launched a podcast called Cleaner and Cocktails. I did that one for fun. It's very fun. It's very fun. All right, so we're ready to scale and the industry knows it. How do I know that? It's because these brands that you see on the board, they backed us, they've supported us. I've got LOIs with some of them. They want us to scale. And I'm gonna end with this. I know I got some time, right? So this is our why. Everybody should have a why, right? These are faces of the 400 customers that are using our product that are gone from being in the field as cleaning workers to now they're in the field as cleaning business owners and creating generational wealth. That's our number 1 vision. Let's create generational wealth. Let's close that gap. Let's help our families. Let's help our communities. Why the cleaning industry? Because it's pandemic proof, it's recession proof, and it's a lucrative industry, guys, right? What do we know about America? Business ownership creates wealth, right? The workers are great, but it's the ownership that comes in and creates that wealth in our company. And I'm done. And I'm done. And I'm done. And I'm done.
So you talked about acquiring the cleaning businesses. How do you acquire the cleaning contracts? Sounds like you're helping with the lead gen of helping them find,
So that's our market. So we are a B2B marketplace, right? So our SaaS tools are the other 2 that you saw. The marketplace, because I'm a prime contractor, I understood that there was a gap between prime and subs. Today, the primes, I have direct contact with them, right? I'm on the board of directors at the ISSA, which is the world's largest cleaning organization, first Latino, youngest person on the board. I sit next to the primes, the CEO of Harvard Maintenance, the CEO of ABM. I know they need help with their subcontracting tools. That's first. In comes the CBREs, the JLLs, and everybody like that as well.
One, thank you for what you're doing, because my understanding is a lot of this industry is a lot of people of color, brown, black, Latino folks, so that's awesome. But I imagine there's a technical barrier, especially with some of the older generation, with all due respect for anybody older. How do you combat that? Because this is about using technology to grow your business. If I don't understand technology or don't use technology a lot, how do you
Yeah, so huge benefit. You touched on it. The black-brown market, right? That is the new wave of ownership in our industry. So the decision makers that is that older generation, they're actually not really the decision makers that we got to talk to when we're selling software to them. It's operations management. It's the sales team. It's the business owner, because again, it's easy to get into the industry. It's hard to maintain, but we literally talk to them through the simplicity of the software. We made it super simple. I still own my cleaning company. I'm still involved. Simplicity is the name of the game, and we're also the first software in the industry to be in Spanish. So a lot of our Spanish business owners that are coming to us, we're their only solution right now. So it allows us to get into Mexico and Latin America.
You also went for best cheering section, so well done. Well done.
So that's my wife who started the company.
All
with me.
right, well done. Okay. You had some pretty big landlords on your screen there, and help us understand like your technology and how it's going to integrate with operations management software that already exists in these organizations.
Yeah, so open API, right? We're connecting. Our goal, and I don't know if I touched on this, but the ecosystem approach, a lot of our industry, there's technology there, but they don't like to speak to each other, right? In the past 5 years, us and when we go to the conventions and we go to the shows, we've showed them that's not good for the cleaning business owner. We have to integrate. We have to show them that if they want to use different tools, it's okay. Use us for what we're great at, right? In small business owners, it is very difficult. I mean, they like the color green for a button. They like the color yellow. They don't like this screen. So it's showing them that we should partner and integrate with each other is how we've softened that conversation.
Great job.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you also so much to our judges. You guys actually don't have the hard job today. The audience has the hard job, but thank you for your excellent questions. I'm going to let you guys take a seat down there, and I'm going to invite Stephen Shaw from Verizon. Stephen has been a huge partner for us for the entire TechRise journey, and we're so happy to have his expertise and support in our work. He is an experienced social sector practitioner with a demonstrated history of leadership in government and nonprofit organizations, and his specific industry areas of focus include education and economic development. So welcome to the stage, Stephen. Join me. Okay, so while Stephen and I are talking, you guys have, I think I need to give them the clicker actually to get to the right ones. But you guys are going to be voting, and there's a phone number that's going to go on stage, and you can just text to vote for one of these amazing founders that were here today. So, Stephen, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. So, not everyone knows this, but you and Diane Primo from our board at P33 have been talking about a version of TechRise for a long time. So,
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about how you thought of this challenge?
Where did it all start? So I remember Diane and I, we were literally eating at Wildberries, and we were talking about what can we do to really, and actually Ricky hit on it, what can we do to really accelerate the economic growth, particularly for our Black and our Latin communities? We said, well, what's one of the main drivers of economic growth? It's entrepreneurship. What type of entrepreneurship scales faster and creates more wealth? It's tech entrepreneurship. I said, well, it seems like, and by the way, I am the community engagement director of Verizon, so it's my job to look to see how I can partner on behalf of Verizon with organizations that focus on youth STEM, focus on small business digitization. In other words, making sure our small businesses have digital tools and entrepreneurship. I said, hey, I think we should play a role in making sure that we can provide the resources necessary for our Black and brown communities to experience economic mobility. So we just took that basic idea and said, I think we should. So Diane was like, well, there's only one partner that you can do this with. I said, who is that? She said, P33. I said, really? She said, yes, absolutely. There's no other partner. And fast forward, P33 has been an absolute, I had pretty high aspirations. P33 has been exceptional. You can have an idea, but without implementation, without execution, we are not here today. So I just want to end by saying thank you, Desiree. Thank you.
Thank you for your support. So when Stephen and I first started working on this idea, we started just with the money part, right? That's where we thought that the big gap was, and we thought a $500,000 pre-seed fund could get us started, and then if it works, we'll keep going. but we started to do some interviews with founders and realized, and Aziz, I'm going off script, I hope you don't mind, that it was so much more than just capital that was the problem. It was sense of community, a lack of knowledge about some of the basic things that venture-backed founders learn very quickly once they get their first term sheet. And so we started to think about how do we triangulate wins around capital, networks, and knowledge. And we realized that a fund that distributes cash behind closed doors wasn't going to check the box really on any of those. And so we started to challenge ourselves of what else could we do in looking at different models. And then we decided on this pitch competition model. It was in the middle of COVID, so we knew we had to do it virtually. Yes. And at first we thought we were going to do 4.
Yeah, I had this idea. I said, we should do some pitch competitions. And as you know, for those of you who've been in the ecosystem for a while, there are not a lot of pitch competitions out there. So I had this radical idea, we should do like one a quarter. And I remember it was in our second conversation. Desiree said, well, I have an idea. How about we do one a week? I said, you mean like every week? And she said, yeah, it can create a flywheel effect that really gives people opportunity and creates buzz and excitement. So actually, I'll turn the tables, talk about kind of what did you imagine when you had this crazy idea of doing a pitch competition every week?
So I think that as a founder, you're always looking for ways to improve on something that exists already and something that is differentiated. And I also firmly believe in stakeholder-centric design, which is asking ourselves the question, who benefits when we succeed at solving a problem? And realize that if we only solved this for 4 founders a year, it was going to take us decades to make any kind of impact. Even if we gave $50,000 or $100,000, it wasn't going to move the needle in a way that we were going to see more faces that look like mine and the other founders on the stage. I am a Latina founder too. And so thought that visibility and volume was critical to this. And so, and I've raised millions of dollars before, so I figured why not raise millions of dollars for other people's businesses? And instead of $500,000, let's make it a $5 million fund. And I think we're getting pretty close to a winner, but I want to ask just a kind of off-the-cuff question about, over these last 2 years, what has been the biggest surprise about TechRise?
So I think there have been a couple of surprises. One is on the market. I think has been surprised. People were saying, and I know you heard this, especially as a Latina founder, oh, you can't do this every week. There aren't enough founders for you. So we started out focusing on Black and Latin. With that explosive growth, we said, you know what, there are some other undercapitalized communities that need access. So we broadened it to BIPOC and women founders. And there was still there's no way you're going to be able to find that many Black and Latin, that many BIPOC entrepreneurs. And so over 2.5 years later, I mean, we still have a waiting list. I don't know of how, Lucy and Sean do an excellent job of maintaining this. So needless to say, I think the market has been pleasantly surprised by what you and I knew was always in our community, which was innovation, which is talent. We just needed a vehicle to give them the exposure. So that's, I think, the market. My surprise, I had pretty high expectations, but I think your ability to galvanize the funding ecosystem. So yes, we started out with some seed funding that I was able to get from Verizon, but that would only take us so far. So if you look at all of the funders that we've had to collaborate on this, I didn't think we would have that type of just broad-based support. So, yeah.
And just to add some numbers to your first comment, when we launched, nothing against the VCs in the audience, but most of them told us there's no way we were going to find 150 founders to take the virtual stage. And within the first 3 weeks, we had 140 founders apply. We now have, I think, 685 startups in the pipeline for TechRise. They're not all Chicago, so we can't let them all in yet. But I think that's exactly to your point, that once you kind of open the doors and invite people in, you were just amazed by how many talented founders we have in the city, and we're excited to continue to support you with the work at TechRise. I think we have hopefully a big announcement coming soon that will allow us to do it for many years to come. And until then, thank you, Verizon, for getting us off the ground and being a continuous source of support and champion.
Well, thank you.
All right, so with that, we're going to announce the winner. Okay. So first we're going to announce the runner-up.
All right. And the runner-up for today, and just so you'll know the importance of runner-up, we have an end-of-the-year grand season finale competition. So we say to get in the playoffs to win the championship, if you are the runner-up or the winner, you get automatically entered into the playoffs. So.
And that's a $100,000 prize.
Yes, $100,000
non-dilutive capital.
non-dilutive prize, yes. So today's winner is,
The runner-up.
excuse me, today's, reading is fundamental. Today's runner-up is Andre.
With LiveEquipd. So he'll be in the running for the end, yes. And today's grand prize?
Congratulations. All right, and our winner today is
Ricky
from
Regalado.
Rao.
You want to say a couple words?
Thank you, brother. Congratulations. Thank you. Appreciate it. Oh, I didn't prepare for this, though. Okay.
You always, Ricky's always ready to talk.
No, I really do appreciate you guys. Like, you guys were awesome too. Phenomenal. First time I met a couple of you. Andre, you've been around. I know what you're trying to do too. So it's more important for us to keep supporting them and keep supporting founders, right? So keep coming to these events. Keep showing up. We're showing up. We want to be present. Thank you guys for being present. I appreciate it. And thank you to Verizon, TechRise, and the whole shebang.
Thank you so much. All right. And I do want to remind everyone that we are starting the ballroom content of the day. So head downstairs to the main ballroom to hear Nadia Rawlinson speak in just a little bit. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.